Hello everyone. This is the 37th part of the story, Mārvēl Unlimited Skills, I Can Download. Chapter 225. After returning to the Earth, Bruce did not return to Wakanda directly, but to find a place where no one stayed to take the floating throne. Because Bruce felt that it was not a good thing sometimes that you were too show-off after all, it would arouse others' attention. Instead he thought of a better way. Beep. Do you want to synthesize S.H.I.E.L.D's A-type special vehicle with the floating throne? And it needs 1W energy value. Yes. Bruce, who had returned to the Avengers base, said with no expression, synthesis. Beep. The synthesis was successful. Congratulations to the host for getting the Titan car. At the moment, looking at the normal car, Bruce tried to sit in it. Next, he found that he could not only drive it by hand but also by ideas. This special agent car actually retained all the functions of the floating throne. And the material was built from the core of the star, and the outer surface could be put on the energy cover that only space warships owned. It could transmit and make space jump in space. After Bruce tried it, he nodded with satisfaction and took the black technology sports car. In fact, he did not dare to drive it continuously, because he was afraid that he would destroy the good car with his bad driving skills. At the moment, Bruce nodded with satisfaction when he saw the performance of Titan car. The 1W energy value was very worth it. Now that this car could have such an amazing result, then Bruce looked at his normal black suit. He had a bold thought. Beep. Do you want to integrate the agent's suit with Titan armor? And it requires 1W energy value. Yes. Bruce licked his lips and very looked forward to what would happen next. Beep. The synthesis is successful, congratulations to the host to get a Titan suit. As expected, after a burst of light flashing, a seemingly flat-and-fitch agent suit, from the coat to shoes, all were changed. Then Bruce took a gun to shoot it violently. As a result, the bullets had no sound except when they were fired. The dense bullets shooting on the suit were all shattered into powder by the fake fabric of the suit. At the moment, Bruce, who did not believe this scene, immediately took out the immortal divine spear, following which the room immediately became very bright. But the spear made a sound and deflected it along the fabric. The fake fabric was not normal at all, which actually made the artifact splash out. Well, it seems that the material is very brilliant. After wearing the suit on his body, Bruce realized that the suit was really thin and light. And when he pulled the tie, the tightness could also be adjusted automatically. After walking out of his private room, Bruce was very satisfied with this new normal-looking suit. No one could figure out why the clothes were harder than vibranium. It was very worthy of the system's product. And it was also very worthy of spending 2W energy value on the suit. At the moment, Bruce opened his personal information and looked at his personal attributes. Name, Bruce. Identity, 6th-level agent. Awakening, 1st-level fixed star. Ability, War God Body, Deities' Power, God Bloodline, the Gods Telekinesis, Magic Ball, Body Blur, High-Speed Movement, Full Induction, Body and Shield Oneness, the Dark Source, the God Power of the Real World, the Psycho Parasite. Warehouse, Titan Vehicle, Immortal Thunder Spear, Titan Suit, Super Vibranium Shield, Mark 8 Suit, Ant-Man Suit, Infinity, Crystal Ball. Balance, 200W USD. Energy value, 40W points. When he looked at the awakening state of the 1st-level fixed star, Bruce asked the system, how much energy value to upgrade the next stage? Beep. In the query. Beep. The results of the query are as follows. The fixed star awakening requires 100W points of energy value per step. How many energy values are needed to upgrade the 8th-level planet to the 1st-level fixed star? Bruce continued to ask. Beep. In the query. Beep. The results of the query are as follows. The energy value of upgrading 8th-level planet to 1st-level fixed star needs to span both the 9th and the 10th stages of the planet, with a total of 190W energy value. So Bruce decided that the downloading Titan's curse would cost 120W energy value, and the synthesis cost was 50W. This was 170W. But when he fought with Thanos before, not only did he improve his divine body, awaken the cross level, and increase his strength, but also he saved 20W of energy value. It was so worthy. At the moment, Bruce was very happy with this. Then he rang Quicksilver up in a good mood. Hey? Is it Quicksilver? Yes, you don't have to run. Find your sister and come to my private room with Vision and Spider-Man to see me. And Bruce embarrassedly found that he could even hear the sound of the wind when he called him. No one knew where his brother-in-law went. Only 10 seconds later, a red delivery door appeared. The excited Scarlet Witch rushed into Bruce's arms. Then in the back of the portal, Quicksilver, Vision and Spider-Man walked out of it. Mr. Lite, where was Thanos? Spider-Man asked curiously when he met Bruce. Thanos. He realized that his own deed was a little too much, so he had returned to the field and had already lived in a happy pastoral life. After releasing Wanda, Bruce said this seriously. Oh, that's great. Spider-Man was immediately convinced. Well, ahem. Bruce was not interested in telling the truth, otherwise Spider-Man would certainly go wrong. Mr. Bruce, you've disappeared for a month. We are very worried. At the moment, Vision looked at Bruce sincerely. Yes, Bruce, you haven't contacted me all the time. And I am very worried. As she spoke, Wanda's eyes became red. It has been a month. Bruce said this surprisingly. Because when he was in the universe, he could not feel the time, he felt it was just a few days. How is Rogers doing? At the moment, Bruce asked Spider-Man. Mr. Steve, they. Before Spider-Man finished speaking, another delivery door appeared. I have recovered very well, said Captain America. Oh, you're all right. That's great. Then Bruce held Captain America's hand. Bang! Then another two figures appeared, Doctor Strange and Black Widow respectively. Oh, Dr. Steven, you always come without being invited. Bruce said angrily. Hi Mr. Bruce, I said that I feel you're back. They are all around me, so. At the moment, Strange was very innocent. Then Bruce twitched his mouth. In fact, Strange could not feel that he would come back at all. If he did not want to make him notice. After all, his body had reached the undrained realm. However, in order to synthesize cars and clothes, he went back to the shield and then many people had seen him, so he deliberately liberalized his breath. After all, this matter was of great importance, and Bruce knew that the Avengers would come to ask. Forget it. You are always so good. At the moment, Black Widow interrupted Strange and asked, You have confirmed that Thanos will not come again, Mr. Bruce. After saying that, Captain America and Doctor Strange looked at Bruce worriedly. They didn't want Thanos to come back to blow the planet. Hey, let's stop talking about this, but if you really want to know more about the details, then ask me to have a meal. At the moment, Bruce shrugged his shoulders. Chapter 226. After a meal, Bruce successfully fooled Captain America and Doctor Strange. After returning the Eye of Agamotto to Doctor Strange and sending Quicksilver and Spider-Man away, Bruce secretly entered Scarlet Witch's boudoir. It was said to be a boudoir, but in fact it was a villa that was too big. During Bruce's absence, Quicksilver got a lot of money. And after Quicksilver repeatedly assured that the money was not snatched from the bank, Wanda expropriated part of it and bought the villa. Bruce was not polite, and they went crazy all day and night. Wanda's original song could be heard around the whole villa. However, the neighbors around could do nothing but envy. Especially the female neighbors admired Bruce's persistence and dreamed about how strong his body should be. Looking at Wanda lying on the bed, too tired to wake up, Bruce just exuberantly shook his head. How could Wanda as a witch hold his physique of gods and demons? And when he was about to drink a glass of fragrant red wine and admire the night of the villa. Boom! A man in a red cloak came to him with a beam of thunder. Bruce, tell me which planet Thanos is on, I'm going to kill him. Thor said anxiously. Obviously, he had been searching for such a long time. Oh, I had said he was on Titan, isn't it? Bruce said calmly. Damn it, I went looking for him for long, but I didn't find him. Thor said, filled with indignation. Thanos must be going somewhere else. At the moment, Bruce shook the glass, then drank the red wine in it, staring into the distance. Damn it, when will Loki's revenge go on like this? Thor was still reluctant. Don't you still have a sister? Bruce reminded her. Are you talking about Hela? She has returned to Asgard. At that moment, Thor became serious. And Ragnarok is about to come. Oh, so you are going back to Asgard? Bruce was also interested. Well, Hela, who returned to Asgard, resurrected a large number of dead troops. She imprisoned many gods and people who didn't want to obey. Moreover, she released the giant wolf Fenrir and the earthly giant snake Yamengita. Thor gritted his teeth. The present Asgard has no difference from hell. Well, then I'll go to Asgard with you. After all, I drove Hela away. Now, it's time to send her back to the west. Bruce put down his glass. Thor was surprised when hearing Bruce's words. Are you also willing to go? That's great. But Heimdall told me that the Rainbow Bridge has been occupied by Hela, and now I can only pass through the largest portal of Sokka to Asgard. Don't be so troublesome, can you get in touch with Heimdall now? Definitely yes. Thor stared at the night sky. Heimdall, can you hear me? Thor, I see you, it's very bad, when are you going to come back? Heimdall's voice came to Thor's mind. Thor just opened his mouth, and before he finished speaking, Bruce grabbed Thor's shoulder and activated the space gem to locate the teleportation location. They immediately arrived at Asgard, a cave where Heimdall was. Obviously, Thor didn't expect Bruce to have this hand. Bruce didn't mean to explain at all, but looked at Heimdall, who pulled out the giant sword with a smile. His iconic black suit was out of place among the Aesir Protoss wearing medieval costumes. Heimdall, it's okay, this is my friend, Bruce. After hearing Thor's words, Heimdall put down the great sword suspiciously. He could perceive that Bruce was not ordinary at all, and his sharp eyes couldn't feel anything from Bruce. Even in the history of guarding the Asgard Rainbow Bridge, Odin also failed to do this. Hi, Heimdall, nice to meet you. Bruce stretched out his right hand friendly. Hi, Bruce. Heimdall hesitated, and shook Bruce's hand, following which Bruce saw Heimdall's message calmly. Name, Heimdall. Identity, Asgard Patron Saint. Ability, Aesir's Body, Energy Value 20W, Protoss Induction, Energy Value 20W, Acute Eyes, Energy Value 15W, Acute Ears, Energy Value 15W, God's Fighting Ability, Energy Value 15W. Items, Heimdall's Golden Horn, Energy Value 15W, Ulu Great Sword, Energy Value 10W. System, download Acute Eyes and Acute Ears. Bruce had no hesitation for these two abilities. His induction skills were stronger than Heimdall's, but Heimdall's Acute Eyes and Acute Ears were indeed what he lacked. Beep. Two skills are detected and require an energy value of 30 W points, yes or no. Yes. Beep. The download is successful. Congratulations to the host for getting the skills of Acute Eyes and Acute Ears. After downloading Acute Eyes and Acute Ears, Bruce's head became noisy for an instant. But fortunately, his divine thoughts were strong, otherwise he would definitely be stunned by the sudden amount of information. Now he could not only see all the things that Asgard was in charge of the 9 realms, but also knew the things of extraterrestrial planets. After looking at the scenery of those planets from a distance, listening to the sound of flowers and trees growing, and curiously observing the situation of the other 9 worlds, Bruce looked at the Golden Officer of Asgard. At the moment, Hela wore a tight black armor and a spider-like helmet, and sat on Odin's throne. The breath of death permeated his body, and his gestures gave people a feeling of depression. Obviously, Hela became stronger, and it was not the same as when he was on Earth. After a year in Asgard, she regained her peak strength. How many troops do we have now? Thor asked Heimdall. There are only a few hundred left, and the others are all old and weak, women and children. Heimdall looked sad. Bruce looked at the Aesir Protoss behind Heimdall. Everyone was weather-beaten and basically had no combat effectiveness. The battlefields were either caught in the dungeon and locked up, or killed and transformed into undead monsters. It was not that Heimdall's strength was extraordinary, and he could see the army that captured them in advance. And these remaining forces had all been destroyed before. Thor, you've finally come. Behind Heimdall, a heroic female general suddenly walked out. Her black hair looked unique, just like a waterfall. Sir, it's great that you are still alive. When Thor saw the person coming, he was extremely delightful. Chapter 227. Sif is Heimdall's younger sister. When she was young, the mischievous Loki cut off all her hair. Later Loki was afraid that Odin would punish him, so he specially made her hair from the dwarf. When she grew up, Sif was diligent in practicing martial arts, and grew up to be a female general in Asgard. She used to fight Thor in the Nine-Star Realm. In the course of the battle, she gradually fell in love with the powerful and brave Thor. However, Thor fell in love with the American woman Jane on Earth. This also led Odin to dislike her so much that Odin preferred Thor to Sif of Asgard. After Thor's introduction, Bruce came into contact with this beautiful woman general. Name, Sif. Identity, the female martial god of Asgard. Ability, Aesir's body, energy value 15W, Protoss induction, energy value 10W, Protoss combat skills, energy value 10W, swordsmanship ability, energy value 10W, Tianma riding, energy value 10W. Items, Asgard sword, energy value 10W, Asgard Pegasus, energy value 10W. After a few pleasantries, Thor and Heimdall worked out a plan to save Asgard. First free the Asgard warriors from the dungeon, take back the Bifrost, then summon Valkyrie from the outside world, and fight Hela to the death. Bruce nodded irresponsibly to Thor's plan. The next morning, Heimdall in the front, Thor, Sif and Bruce were behind. Armed with more than 100 armored warriors, they followed Heimdall's instructions to the dungeon of Asgard. The dead souls guarding the dungeon looked vulnerable under Thor's leadership. Heimdall and Sif are extremely brave. Bruce also took the opportunity to grab an energy value. The dungeon used a golden energy shield to keep the prisoners inside. Looking at the corridor, it seemed to go on endlessly. Bruce swept it with divine consciousness. The number of detainees reached 30,000. Another 50,000 or so people, terrified of Hela and surrendered to Hela. These warriors of the Aesir Protoss have powerful strength. It is more than 3 times heavier than the body of a human being on Earth, and it is capable of lifting tens of tons of weight, immune to most diseases. On top of that, the Aesir has an average life expectancy of more than 5,000 years. So as long as these people do not die, they can fight for Asgard for at least 4,500 years. It was these tireless Protoss warriors that enabled Odin to stabilize the 9 kingdoms. Just after Bruce helped Thor rescue these warriors, the system issued a new task. Beep. Detecting the host's participation in the Protoss civil war, the following tasks are released. Persuade Valkyrie to return to Thor's camp. After getting the task prompt, Bruce teleported himself to the entrance of the Bifrost. To leave Asgard, he must go to the Bifrost, so when he got to the Rainbow Bridge, he could get information about Valkyrie. At the entrance to the Rainbow Bridge, bald-headed Skalsini is showing off his new weapon to 2 young ladies of Asgard. Ladies, do you know what I am holding? The big guy smiled and played with the 2 M16 automatic rifles held in his left and right hands. The young Asgard obviously hadn't seen these guns. After all, Asgard's guards usually had spears and shields. Skalsini, what is this? The beautiful woman curiously felt the wrench of the gun. Oh. You can't touch that. It might go off. Skalsini jumped immediately. Seeing the beauty seemed a little unhappy, he immediately turned into a kind and amiable smile. The truth is that I have always been an innocent man, single for decades, and when I met you two, I was instantly smitten. At this point, Scalcini paused, then choked out a few tears that seemed affectionate. I suddenly realized that the past few decades had been all about waiting to meet you, so I bought these 2 guns. Seeing these 2 guns is like seeing you. I will guard you all my life. Upon hearing Scalcini's affectionate confession, the 2 ladies who had never left Asgard immediately looked at him with bewildered eyes. Oh, Scalcini, you are so kind to us, I think. Ahem. Although he didn't want to interrupt Scalcini's sultry technique, Bruce interjected. Hi, hero, can you make way for me? I'm looking for someone. Oh, I don't know who you are looking for, Scalcini is a pleasure to help, said the bald man with great enthusiasm. Bruce glanced furtively at the young women beside him, and sure enough, little stars appeared in their eyes, and they were drawn to Scourge's helpful image. Valkyrie, do you know her? Oh, you mean the guy who was beaten away by Queen Hair? I definitely met her. Beautiful women are always so impressive. She went in this direction. Scorch gestured toward the starry reflection in the ceiling. Well, can you describe her appearance to me again? After divine consciousness locked onto the planet of Scalcini's finger, Bruce smirked. No problem, I can draw her right away. How could the queen have given me such an important place as the Bifrost, if I didn't have such skills? As soon as he said that, Scalcini drew Valkyrie. Bruce took the portrait, and deliberately touched him while the opponent was not paying attention. Name, Scalcini. Identity, descendants of the Aesir Protoss and Frost Giants, executioner of Hela. Ability, lucky ability, energy value 15W, Aesir body, energy value 10W, Frost Giant bloodline, energy value 10W, Blood Axe combat skills, energy value 10W. Item, Heimdall's Guardian Sword, energy value 20W. Not to mention, the painting is no different from the camera. Bruce looked at Scalcini's hand, a brush that looked plain but actually had magic skill. Having to secretly give a thumbs up, Scalcini revealed another sultry prop. Wow, Scalcini, can you draw me too? One of the young women could not help showing a flash of spring on her chest, and leaned over to Scalcini's arm which was holding the paintbrush. The other young woman was immediately unwilling and pulled towards Scalcini's other arm. Scalcini, draw me first. Hey, there is no problem drawing you together, Scalcini said with a cheap laugh. Bruce could have fired up the space gem and left, but he stayed for the time being. He realized that even if he met Valkyrie, with her bursting character, he couldn't beat her over, but if he doesn't fight, he can't complete the task. After all, the mission to kill Hela hasn't been announced yet, and killing Hela wouldn't get much of an energy boost. Chapter 228. At the present Asgard, Loki disguised himself as Odin. And after successfully squeezing out Heimdall, the bald man Scalcini became Asgard's god of Dor. Later, Hela returned to Asgard. She surprisingly flirted with Scalcini and allowed him to continue to serve as the guardian. Asgard's tens of thousands of soldiers were all fooled by this terrible guy, so it was a very magical thing to say. But in fact, the gap between Scalcini and Heimdall was very large. Without acute eyes and acute ears, Scorch could still live a natural life, and that was naturally because of his carefulness under the rough appearance. Beep. It will take 150,000 energy values to download the lucky ability. Yes or no? Yes. Beep. Congratulations to the host for downloading and getting the lucky ability successfully. The moment Bruce got it, he immediately left the Bifrost, and then he went to Sakaar. According to the contrast of portraits, Bruce found Valkyrie with the world's divine consciousness. At the moment, she was working as a scavenger on Sakaar. Simply speaking, she was picking up rubbish for the owner of Sakaar who was driving spaceships. Ignoring the litter with rubbish, Bruce walked over to Valkyrie. Hi, Shoddy. I think you are very classy when picking up garbage. Do you have any interest in making friends with me? Bruce did not feel ashamed for his nonsense at all. At the moment, Valkyrie turned her head and glanced at Bruce, then she said seriously, I don't know you. No, we've known each other. Only you and me are picking up rubbish in this area, so it is doomed that we will definitely know each other. After saying that, Bruce immediately said, "Since we have known each other, I want to discuss with you the secret of picking up the garbage. Do you have any interest in talking to me?" Valkyrie just looked at Bruce in a daze, because she was so incredulous about Bruce's behavior. But she said angrily, "Food won't matter, but I can think about it if you invite me to drink." Well done. At the moment, Bruce suddenly felt that he was more excited than winning Thanos. And 1 hour later, they took Valkyrie's aircraft and went to a bar in Sakar. Valkyrie was not reserved. She just picked up one bottle of wine after another and began to drink. Bruce didn't talk. He just poured the wine and constantly drank. But after hours, Valkyrie began to cry. "Hela, you son of a bitch. One day I'll go back and kill you. I can't forgive you because you embarrassed me. Let's go now." Bruce said. He looked as if he had been waiting for such a long time. "Do you know who Hela is?" Valkyrie said in surprise. "I don't know." Bruce pretended to say. "But for you, I will definitely defeat him." Puff. Looking at Bruce's serious look, Valkyrie suddenly laughed. "You want to fight with Hela? Please defeat me first. And even I'm not her opponent." "Really?" Bruce said indifferently. "I can win Hela, but I can't beat you. You'd better pick up your junk. Actually, my fighting ability is also very good." "What?" "The ability from the bedside to the end of the bed." They just chatted like this endlessly. And when they woke up the next day, Valkyrie found that Bruce was sleeping next to him, and the bed sheet was also dyed with a large group of fresh red. When standing up, Valkyrie was too painful to sit down. She was trying to slap Bruce when she saw Bruce's side face, and finally, she just held back with a flushed face. Of course, Bruce did not fall asleep, but he never thought it would be so simple to deal with Valkyrie. And soon he pretended to wake up and said to Valkyrie affectionately, "Our friendship has finally ended, and we can start dating from today." Then he hugged Valkyrie deeply, and Valkyrie just forgiven him. After returning to Asgard, Valkyrie immediately put on the dress of the female martial god. And she did not mention anything about the things between her and Bruce. Beep. Congratulations to the host for completing the task of persuading Valkyrie to return to Thor's team and getting 30W energy value. Beep. The task of the next phase is released. To defeat Hela, and help Thor to become the new owner of Asgard. Obviously, Thor was surprised at Valkyrie's arrival. Originally, he wanted to persuade Valkyrie in person, but he didn't expect that Valkyrie would come back actively. In that way, he didn't have to persuade Valkyrie. At the moment, Bruce checked his own attributes. Name, Bruce. Identity, 6th-level agent. Awakening, 1st-level star. Ability, the body of God and devil, deity's power, God bloodline, the god's telekinesis, magic ball, body blur, the high-speed movement, overall sense, body and shield oneness, dark source, light source, spiritual parasite, eyes of thousands of miles, acute ears and the lucky ability. Warehouse, immortal thunder spear, super vibranium shield, Mark 8 battle armor, Ant-Man battle uniform, infinite edition, crystal ball, Titan car and the Titan uniform. Energy value, 40W points. Not bad. It was easy for him to get 30W energy value with the lucky ability. Valkyrie's physique was actually good. And only he knew what would happen when Valkyrie was making trouble. At the moment, the divine consciousness swept over the Rainbow Bridge. Skalsini held a big axe and led those who returned to Asgard. He was explaining the adventures in the kingdom of elves with relish. And all of them listened attentively. But Bruce just turned his head awkwardly. He went to Thor and talked for a while. And then, all people discussed and immediately went to make trouble for hire. At the moment, the mighty army had assembled under Valkyrie's leadership. Not to mention that many of these soldiers were the old part of Valkyrie, and they had been trained well by Valkyrie before. So Thor was in a hurry to find Valkyrie back. At the moment, Bruce curiously saw Valkyrie's information. Name, Valkyrie. Identity, the female martial god of Asgard. Ability, Asur's body, energy value 20W, fighting ability of female martial, energy value 15W, female martial god wisdom, energy value 15W, horse riding, energy value 15W, and the command force, energy value 15W. Item, female Wushan long spear, energy value 10W. In contrast to Chiv, it was clear that Valkyrie was better. And in the later story, because Thor had no interest in management, Valkyrie greatly worked in Asgard. But Valkyrie's growing space was still very high, so Bruce decided to train him as Odin. Chapter 229. Skalsini, when are you ready to do it? At the moment, Hela was looking at Skalsini, who had been reluctant to kill those people, and then released a hint of killing intention. Just now, a group of rebels revolted against her rule, and she arrested these rebels herself. The frequent repression of the rebellions had made her impatient with these people. And Skalsini served as a celebrity around her. As her appointed executioner, unexpectedly he dared to show mercy to those who resisted her. For her, there was no difference between this and betrayal. Although Skalsini was the only person who made her feel interested in, the taste of rights was more wonderful for Hela. So she had to kill him if he tended to betray her. It must be known that after Odin used her in the year, he suppressed her and never published her achievements to his subjects. So for thousands of years, every day and night she was waiting to break through the seal, and she was not willing to be stolen from her victory. Therefore, her hatred for Odin had gone deep into the bone. All those who fought against her must die. It was also a relief for these people to die anyway. As the god of death in Asgard, all the Asur Protoss even died, the soul would not be released immediately. Instead, they needed to wait for her to take their souls out and give them a destination. It was also why Odin could not kill her. As long as Asgard existed, once there was death, then she would be able to rely on the right to control life and death and become stronger. And the right was not able to be taken away by others. Asgard was no lack of war. Ow wow! A roar of a wolf came into her ears. Others were slightly surprised by it, only Hela understood what Fenrir was talking about. So Thor has come back? She murmured to herself. Then with a whoosh, she disappeared in the place. Poof! Skalsini was almost frightened to urinate, and the big sweat fell on the ground. Then he touched his neck, and fortunately, the head was still on it. God had finally gone. If she did not go, he would cut off Sasha that accompanied him last night. Sasha's waist was even softer than the sponge, so how could he let her die? After Hela left, the guards were stunned and did not know what to do. Why are you still in a daze? Is my position higher or yours? Untie them quickly. Skalsini roared immediately to the guards around him. The guards looked at each other. Eventually, they had to untie the prisoners. After all, when Hela came back, there was Skalsini to take the responsibility, so they had nothing to fear. On the Rainbow Bridge, Thor and the huge wolf Fenrir fought against each other. Fenrir, which was the most notorious hungry wolf in the Norse mythology. As a wolf, it was even taller than the African elephant. Coupled with its excellent offensive abilities than Heimdall and its canines which were more hard than vibranium. Although the sacred axe of Thor could cut the wound on its silver body. However, what was faster was that these wounds healed with the visible speed. Every time when Fenrir's huge head bit to Thor, he had to avoid the bites in fear. Because if he couldn't avoid the bites, even his Asur divine body would be broken. Clang! Heimdall attacked Fenrir at the back. Finally the giant sword was cut to the hard shell of the spaceship. Ho! Fenrir's big tail swept with hate, and then Heimdall was drawn down the Rainbow Bridge. At the moment he was about to fall into the river under the Rainbow Bridge. Bruce, with suits on, appeared in time, firmly holding Heimdall in his hand. When he was about to use the god's telekinesis to fly to the Rainbow Bridge with Heimdall, a huge snake head suddenly appeared in the river. Bruce, be careful! Valkyrie, who was sitting on the flying horse, roared. The giant snake's body was so large that its body was even wider than the rainbow bridge looked from a distance. Even Bruce plus Heimdall were not bigger than its eye. Such a thrilling scene made Valkyrie so nervous. "You're asking to die." At the moment, Bruce dumped Heimdall back to Valkyrie, and then he took out the immortal thunder spear in his right hand. Sizzling. The immortal thunder spear emitted a black and white energy column and bombarded the snake mouth. In order to avoid harm to Asgard, Bruce specially controlled the energy to the level of the planet. After all, the great power of the star level was not the attack Asgard could bear. At the moment, Jemengard's huge vertical pupil stared at the beams of light emanating from the immortal thunder spear. Then it hid flexibly before the light pillar attacked its huge snake body. Bang! The black and white energy exploded, and there was a ripple on the water that was comparable to the explosion of a hill. After avoiding the attack, Jemengard opened his mouth and sprayed poison to Bruce. The jet speed of the venom was comparable to the laser cannons on the gate tower in Asgard. But it was still hidden from Bruce. He was enraged by the giant snake and decided to give him a little color. It could be seen that Bruce looked at the giant snake fiercely. Then the head of the giant snake shook as if it had been hit by a meteorite. After that, it fell into the river and disappeared. Bruce did not intend to let it go. Just now, he launched the ability of a spiritual parasite, and a huge god's telekinesis was injected into the big head of Jemengard. The god's telekinesis began to absorb after touching the spirit of Jemengard, and after absorbing to a certain degree, he would be able to control it. After perceiving the power of the god's telekinesis of Bruce, Jemengard opened its mouth and made a strange gesture with its tail connected to its head. Just as it made this gesture, its body looked like a green circle emitting light. It turned out that its poison could even erode God's telekinesis, so it injected poison into its head with its tail. It was also very cruel to himself. At the moment, Bruce was soon aware that his God's telekinesis had gradually melted in Jemengard's spirit. You're so lucky. Looking at Jemengard, who did not dare to float up, Bruce decided to go to find Fenrir. Although just now the giant wolf Fenrir was fighting with Thor, he also saw the picture of Bruce's attack on the giant snake. Therefore, when it saw Bruce coming to it, it ran away without any hesitation. It even didn't care about Thor, who was electrifying its back and butt. At this moment, Fenrir gave out a wow call and ran along the rainbow bridge. A humane expression appeared on the wolf's head, as if it was saying, even Jemeng was defeated. What am I waiting for? Hela, I'm begging you to come quickly. It finally stopped at the end of the rainbow bridge. The sky began to become gloomy and depressing. A dark, dead aura came. Hela was coming. This marks the end of part 37 of the story Mārvēl Unlimited Skills. I can download. Thank you for listening. Please like the video and hit the subscribe button to listen more. Hit the bell icon to get notified of all the new content uploaded to the channel ASAP.